The title of today's message is Jesus Equips and Jesus Sends. Okay. All right. Oh, it's not. All right. There we go. All right. Now everybody can hear me on a reverberating, so if you could calm me down. Now here's a question for you. Would you don't have to raise your hand, classify yourselves as followers of Jesus? Okay? And I just want to warn you, this is a trap. All right? How are we doing? We'll get ourselves going here. From Luke 9, 1 and 2. Really, I shouldn't say trap, but if you consider yourself a follower of Christ, listen to these words. When Jesus had called the 12 together, he gave them power and authority to drive out all demons and to cure diseases. And he sent them out to preach the kingdom and to heal the sick. So after Jesus' resurrection, we know he spent a number of days talking about his kingdom, and he repeats this, and he says this about and for his followers. The end of Mark, Matthew 28, Mark 16, in fact, says this: go into all the world and preach the good news to all creation. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned. And these signs will accompany those who believe. In my name they will drive out demons, they will speak in new tongues, they will pick up snakes with their hands, and when they drink deadly poison, it will not hurt them at all. They will place their hands on sick people, and they will get well. After Jesus equips his followers, he sends them out to share, to heal, to deliver. That's where we come with the word sozo. Equipped with Holy Spirit to get the job done. If you think that you or I can go out and just say, you know what, I know a couple jokes and I think I'm good with people, I think I'm just going to lay it on them. You know, I'm going to serve them till they get to know Jesus, or tell them a couple stories. You're going out ill-equipped. He gives us Holy Spirit. And he wants us as his followers to do what he did. That is what he made very clear to his 12 disciples. But I want to take a closer look at how Jesus equips, how Jesus readies us for his work. Again, Luke 9, 1 and 2. I'm reading from the NIV. When Jesus had called the 12 together, he gave them power and authority to drive out all demons and to cure diseases. So the power is given by Jesus. The power we need is from God. It's this ability, this capability that he gives us to do miraculous things. Like healing diseases, like restoring sight, like restoring hearing, speech, walking, healthy blood, even raising the dead. Also, he gave them not just power, but authority. He allowed them to, and it wasn't like a legal right, it was a righteous right to exercise power over demons, over illnesses. When he died and arose from the dead, now at that point, all power and all authority belonged to him. Now it's a mystery to me as to how much, if any, authority or power the devil got in the Garden of Eden. But certainly, Jesus came from heaven where there's all power and authority, and for a period of time as he walked this earth, he had power and authority, but not all of it until he died and rose again on the cross. Then he had all of it, here on earth and in heaven. And he's giving us that power and authority to do what he did. So, we're given power and authority to carry out his instructions, to carry out his will. But, as you look closer at this, healing the sick, casting out demons, was not the only mission. If you look at verse 2, although that would have been very impressive in and of itself, Luke 9:2 says, and he sent them out to preach the kingdom and to heal the sick. Now, then, and I believe now, preaching the kingdom is not about evangelizing. If you remember, in his day, when you said you were a follower of Christ, you were kicked out of the synagogue, you were shunned by your family, it was brutal. But he's saying, this is my kingdom I'm presenting. Follow my kingdom. Follow what the priests and they tell you to do, but don't do what they tell you to do. But you can listen to them, but he's talking about his kingdom. To preach the kingdom was to herald, to proclaim the kingdom, its existence, its function, and here on earth. And so you remember Jesus defined the kingdom of heaven. He says, the kingdom of heaven now is within you. The word he used was entos, Luke 21. In you, inside you. The spiritual, eternal kingdom is existing in us. Even as we walk this funky earth. Even as we exist within this world culture. Even with the imperfect circumstances of daily life. As kingdom functioned in Jesus' life, it functioned in his attitude. It functioned in his words. It functioned in his actions. He wants it to function in us. Like he says in John 15, I chose you. I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit and be fruitful. Now, when heaven, we know, his kingdom will be complete. And we will see it in all its glory. But here and now, as we're heralding the kingdom, this Basileia, it's called, the kingdom is in you and me. His rule within us as believers while we live on earth. So his kingdom is carried out in us. He rules us. His instructions are to be followed by us with our finances, with our relationships, with our priorities. His kingdom is always operating within the human heart, whether we acknowledge it or not, but he wants us to acknowledge it. And yes, he does. He wants us to be about healing wherever we go. Herald my kingdom and heal the sick. That's what I want you to do, Jesus is saying. Now it's interesting as I look and I took a little deeper dive on healing the sick. Interesting root word for the sick. Asthενeo. Cure, restore, bodily health, and spiritual health. The sick. Those who are without strength. The sick. Those who are powerless. The sick. Those who are weak and infirmed. But also those who are weak spiritually as in faith. Those who are weak in riches. Those who are weak, destitute of authority, dignity, or power. All those are under the definition of the sick. The very same things that Jesus imparted to his followers, he imparts to us, his followers today. And you know, Jesus' disciples lived, walked, listened to Jesus for over 3 years. His kingdom principles, I think even with them, as dull and hard-headed as they could be, began to sink into them.